Hello everyone, how you doing? Welcome to another live stream. This one is about the best Disney rides. I have here my friend LMG Vids. Say hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
So I'm it was a bit of a trying to get this stream started. Thankfully, I had all my settings still close to where I needed them to be. Yeah. Anyway, um, how is everyone in the chat? Let's see if people are here. We had like 16 viewers a second ago, and now we're down to like 13. So, as soon as my face showed up, everyone left.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, shoot. This isn't that isn't from Disney. That isn't from Disneyland. Oh, shoot. This is not what I came here for.
well, I mean, the title says Best Disney Park Rides. It doesn't necessarily say Best Disneyland Rides. Let's see. Let's say hello to everybody. Hello, Haley. Hello, Jake. Hello, Matthew. Hello, It's Link. And Matthew again. Hello, John Spencer. Hello, Aaron. Uh, Adam Painter says, "Where do you find those beautiful background photos?" Google. I just Google image. I just search up things like Matterhorn or or Big Thunder Mountain or something, and just comes up on Google Images, and I just pull them from Google. So, Morning Mug says hello. All right, everyone. So if you're just tuning in, I am joined here by LMG Vids. We're going to talk about the best Disney rides and kind of just discuss what we like about them, and essentially probably going to argue a little bit about the rides because because he and
Oh
I
boy.
have such different views on what we think is good for rides, and then of course also our favorite Disney parks are different. We have different views on that, but I think one thing we'll agree on is there might be some things about the parks that we don't like, and we might get into that too. So I guess I will start off
Oh
with
boy.
yeah, I'll start off with it's like get ready. Um, I will start off by saying I think one of the best Disney rides is Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. And let me see if I can open this thing here. Haha! I have here my Google Maps pulled up, and uh, oh shoot. Turn this around this way. Oh, you know what? I should also record this. So I'm actually going to start over again, you guys. I know everyone's on the live stream already, but I'm going to record the live stream just in case something happens to my internet. All right, hold on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live stream. It's live right now, but it's also being recorded. All about the best Disney rides. I am joined here by LMG Vids. Say hello.
Hello. How you doing?
And we are just about to get started. I already introduced everybody on the live stream. So let me see here. I have pulled up Disneyland. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Disneyland's Haunted Mansion first, since I'm the host. I get to go first. Um, let's see if that... There we go. Aha. That gets sharper. I also have, like, photos of Haunted Mansion. I could probably even pull those up, too. So, Haunted Mansion, I think... one of the things that makes it one of the best Disney rides, though, is the fact that its ability to entertain you and really draw you into the atmosphere of the Haunted Mansion without ever actually telling you a story. I think that's one of the cool things because, I mean, you look at, like, the classic, Fantasyland rides like Snow White or Alice in Wonderland or something like that, and it tells you a story from beginning to end. And but Haunted Mansion kind of does it without that. It's just a tour of this stately manor, and that's kind of like one of the things I love about it. But the other thing too is that its special effects, even after what it's been around for well over 50 years. So even after 50 years, the special effects still look amazing, and it really draws you in. I think one of the cool things too is, I still get people asking how they managed to fit a whole ride in this little building here. And they don't realize that there's still a building behind it. I mean, what do
I
you...
think the answer to that's pretty simple. They just took that shrink ray ride and they just stuffed it into the haunted mansion. So you actually get shrunken down to the size of an atom. That's how they get you in that building.
Yeah,
Obviously.
well, they are the atom mobiles that you get in. So Chris, what do you have anything to say about Haunted Mansion? Okay, like for instance, would you agree
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Sorry,
I was gonna say like, would you agree that like this is the best Disney ride? Not best out of the best. I mean, just best
out of Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion. I mean, it'll be easier if we just start with Haunted Mansions in general, including Mystic. Oh, not including Mystic Manor is too different to be included in. If we're talking about all the Haunted Mansions in the world, then I think every single Haunted Mansion has its own kind of like positive and negative. That's the thing. So Disneyland, it's the baseline. It's the thing that started it all off. It doesn't have the best queue necessarily. It doesn't have the best facade necessarily. It doesn't have the best of anything. But I think it's an all good well-rounder for if you're talking in terms of the storytelling, the theming, and immersion. But if we're talking about it in like the best detail, then by far that's Phantom Manor. If we're talking about the best queue, easily Tokyo Disneyland's version. If we're talking about the worst overall, then Disney World's version. But I think Disneyland's version, you really can't get offended by anything because as you were saying before, there's the storytelling and there's no storytelling in the ride, right? It's very straightforward. Once you go in, you just kind of like hit with an environment. There's no story, and that's what they try to do in Phantom Manor. And in a way, it I don't know if you agree with this, but in a way, the way how Tony Baxter tried to tell the story, it's so conjumbled and it's so confusing at times. Like a lot of times, you need to kind of research ahead of time, read books, listen to Tony Baxter talk in his interviews, or just explore the land and kind of understand it. You have to do so much more research to understand what's going on in the ride, compared to Haunted Mansion, where you can just kind of walk in there and then off the bat enjoy it.
yeah.
So I do think that Haunted Mansion at Disneyland is the best overall rounder. If that overall best all rounder. Yeah, there we go.
Now I noticed you said something about Tokyo Disneyland's queue is better, the Haunted Mansion there.
Yeah.
What makes that better? I've never been there, so I don't know, but what makes it the best, or the queue?
It's like imagine Walt Disney World's queue, but like without all the stupid like outside areas, like the whatchamacallit, the interactive area. I don't like those. I don't personally. I like interactive queues, but not when it's tacky. And Disney World's version is very tacky. But on top of like being able, on top of being very similar to Walt Disney World, what they do is they have a whole backyard entrance. You walk back there, and the garden's like all dilapidated and destroyed. There's multiple like little not alleyways, but pathways that kind of wind around the Haunted Mansion. It kind of just expands on Disneyland's version. That's what it feels like to me. It's an expansion on Disneyland's version of the queue. So, like, I like that a lot. But I mean, at the same time, I also like Phantom Manor. Well, when I was saying that, I kind of remembered that Phantom Manor has a really good queue as well. So I kind of take that back. So, but if we're talking about like just the baseline Haunted Mansion, not throwing in any storytelling or whatnot, I do think because of the fact that it kind of just pluses Disneyland's outdoor queue, I think it has the best queue. But we're talking about like actual theming and actual like the environmental feeling. I do think Phantom Manor is better. That's a lot of information to digest there.
No, that is, yeah. But I like it because like I said, I've never been to those parks before, so it's hard for me to imagine. But that's exactly why I have you on here, so you can talk about it.
Yes. You can also dunk on some rides too. That will get you dislikes.
Well, what would be your least favorite Haunted Mansion?
Oh, I told you it's Disney World's.
Oh, Disney World.
Yeah, easily Disney World's. Easily, Disney World's is so bad because it's. I mean, on top of having that interactive queue that makes no sense in terms of the ride. So basically, let me explain this. So for anyone who doesn't really like get why I don't like Disney World's version. So in Haunted Mansion, there's a flow to the ride. It typically goes from more of a scary atmosphere at first, a spooky atmosphere, not scary, spooky, then to more funny and more lighthearted, right? It slowly moves like that, like a very like a gradient going up. But for Disney Worlds, it starts off like it's a mix. You look at the Haunted Mansion, it's spooky. You walk to the queue, you have what? A piano that sprays air at you, a little bubbling fountain that sprays water at you, and then you have all these little mini games that which just is completely out of place. And then you go into the Haunted Mansion, and all of a sudden you see a guy rotting in front of your face, right? In the next room, then there's a corpse hanging above you, and it's just like it doesn't flow. It goes from like funny to spooky, then right back just to funny, then back to spooky again. It goes back and forth like that. So it doesn't have the correct flow. And then they also have a lot of scenes in there I don't like either. Like the staircase scene, even though I know it is from the original concept art of Haunted Mansion, like I don't think it really fits at the beginning of Haunted Mansion because typically at the beginning of the ride you never see the ghosts. You don't see any ghosts. You see things moving kind of really creepily. The night is moving, the doors are moving, but you don't see apparitions like footprints walking up staircases. That's like something from Scooby-Doo or like Ghostbusters. It doesn't make sense in terms of the Haunted Mansion, at least earlier on. Like later on, closer to the graveyard scene, that would have made sense. But earlier on, it just completely ruins the atmosphere. So I really don't like Disney World's version because of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny because I know a lot of people, like, especially like people who are probably watching right now, would think that Disney World's version was the best because
yeah,
they have like the extra library and the
the library is fine. I forgot the library is pretty cool, but like there I don't I like it, but I don't like it because when you go on that when you go in there, you can't really hear it on camera too well, but when you're in there, all you hear is our library, our library, our library. Because like basically, like typically in a Haunted Mansion, what they do is when you ride around a corner. I'm sorry. So in the rooms, you kind of go around a horseshoe, or you're never going in a straight line in a Haunted Mansion, right? So they do that for a reason. So when they go and kind of like when they kind of have audio when you turn. I'm sorry. When you're turning into a room and you have audio, what happens is the audio can bounce into the other the doom buggy, which is exactly what happens in that library scene. So when you're sitting in there, you hear like the 3 doom buggies ahead of you audio, and you hear the next audio and next audio, and all of a sudden, then your audio comes in. So it's very annoying. They fixed that in the Tokyo's version, which is why Tokyo's version is even better. But yeah, I don't like so. And then you have the staircase scene, which obviously I don't like. But yeah, so there's a lot of things that I personally don't like from Disney World's version. Yeah, that's all I can really say without getting into much more detail.
Well, I'd say that's as good a point as any, actually. Yeah, I don't have much to say about the other haunted mansions. I mean, I did ride the one at Walt Disney World, and I will admit, I didn't like it. At least not as much as I mean. I know I did like it to a certain extent, but I think the reason why I still preferred Disneyland's wasn't just because it's the original. Like I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, Alex likes Disneyland because it's the original," but I mean that's true. But I mean, but the reason why I liked the one at Walt Disney World more was because the one at Disneyland more than Walt Disney World.
I was gonna say I was like, what?
The one at Disneyland
that was a full 180 there.
I can't. Yeah, I know. I was like, holy. Anyway, so the reason why I like the one at Disneyland more than Walt Disney World is because of the fact that first of all, Disneyland's felt more maintained, and so it like things didn't look old and broken down. Like when I went to the one at Walt Disney World, it was really broken down and just beat up. But the other thing too was that there were like little things about the experience at Disneyland that kind of flowed better, like you said. And then, like, for one thing, I think everybody kind of, whether or not you already knew, you subconsciously know when you get into the stretching rooms at Haunted Mansion, they are like elevators, right? But when I went to the one at Walt Disney World and I saw it, and the room would just stretch upward and there was no, elevator movement. I kind of felt like, well, wait, what's the point of this room then? Like, it almost seems like it was only added just because it was a classic feature of the original Haunted Mansion, as opposed to just like something of its own.
No, I'm pretty sure they added it because basically what they did in Walt Disney World's version is they pushed the queue, the original indoor queue, into the ride. Because they did that, if you were to walk directly from the outdoor queue into the Doom buggies, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So it would be really weird. So they had to put something in between, which is my guess. I don't know. I can't really say if that's a true or fact, true or not statement, but that's what I can observe. If you go on Walt Disney World's version, once you exit the stretching room, you immediately get onto the Doom buggies. Compared to Disneyland's version and Disneyland Paris's version, and that's it. And you get off. Once you get off, you walk directly. You walk into a hallway. You take a right, and then you go into your ride.
Okay.
Take a right, then a left. Excuse me. Yeah. So that portrait scene with all the portraits and the bus staring at you, all that's pushed onto the ride for Disney World's and Tokyo Disneyland's version.
Do you think that would be a plus or a minus?
That's definitely a minus.
Really?
Well, I mean, it depends. It depends how you look at it. I mean, I think it's a minus because if I'm thinking in terms of Walt Disney World's version, it's a minus because of like you don't get the intimacy with the bus anymore. It's very hard to get that bus intimacy because like you can see them against the library. They're really far away, but because they're super far away, they're not really a main focal point anymore. You're kind of staring like at whatever you're sitting at. The book's moving, the pages are flipping, so it's not as intimate or not. It's not as prevalent compared to Disneyland's version when you walk past it and it's like the main focal point. So it's like, I mean, it's a give and take, right? Give and take. Because they pushed it into the ride, they can have more like immersive elements and more like theming and like you can't really figure out how the effect works. So that's a positive. At the same time, you can't have the intimate connection with that. I'm losing my words here. With that scene, right? So like with the other one, you could walk up to the bus and you're walking past, you're like, what? Wait a minute, and you kind of do a double take. But at Disney World's version, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's much more intimate in Disneyland's version. So I like that better.
Well, you've convinced me, that's for sure. Well, then again, I was already on your side, but
you were already convinced. You were already convinced.
Yeah. So let's see if anybody has commented on Haunted Mansion before we move on to the next one. While I'm looking at these, Chris, I want you to think of another ride that you want to bring up because you're next.
Oh, someone brought. Oh, if I'm next, I can go anywhere, right? I saw someone bring up Pirates of the Caribbean. We might as well just go over there. Pirates of the Caribbean.
All right, which Pirates of the Caribbean would you consider to be the
best?
Yeah.
I can give you best and worst, or should we just start off with best right now?
Let's start off with best, and then we'll explain why the worst is the worst.
Okay. You probably know my answer already because I've done so much like poop talking about this park, but the best one easily has to be Disneyland's. It's no competition at all. Yeah, Disneyland's doesn't have the best queue in the world. The queue is very bland, but the thing that makes up for Disneyland is the fact that how I perceive it is the queue is basically pushed onto the ride. When you go onto the ride, that's the first part when you're going to through like the bayou and you're going through the caves, first parts of the cave. That's the queue. It builds the foundation of the ride. It kind of like sets your expectations. Like, oh, okay, this is a ride full of like skeleton still figures, and then once you go through that tunnel and enter out into the whole giant building, that's when like the storytelling really takes off. So I think Disneyland's version, without going into too much detail, is the best version for multiple reasons.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would have to agree.
I know you would agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I know you would agree.
Based off of the videos I've seen and stuff, yeah, I would have to agree. Only because, like, I've heard so many people who've said the same things about, going through like the caverns and stuff, and being like, this isn't in other, Disney, you know.
Oh wait, it is.
Well, what I mean is like, I think they were talking about Walt Disney World, but I'm
not to
sorry.
the
I'm
same.
focusing on like four different things at the same time. So I'm trying to
Ah.
coagulate my thoughts into one cohesive thought, because I'm like trying to look for photos at the same time as like
Oh,
trying
no worries.
to
Well,
like talk.
I get what you're saying. It's because the Disneyland's version, the caves are like so massive, and basically, like when you're going in the caves, what most people don't know is when you go in the caves, it's just like a giant U. That's all it is. It's a giant U. You go in, you turn again, and boom, you're into the giant like boat room with the cannon fire and whatnot. But it doesn't feel that way because the caves are so massive that they have so much space to play with. That it feels so much more immersive. It feels like you're winding through this like cavernous. I can't think of another adjective. This cavern, right? This giant, like endless cavern. You go into Disney World's version, go to Tokyo Disneyland's version. You go into Disneyland. No, Disneyland Paris's version is a little is better. But then you go into especially Shanghai Disneyland's version. It's like it doesn't feel like a cavern. It feels like a pathway that was just carved through a bunch of rock. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like you're exploring. It just kind of feels like you're just going down the water. In Disneyland's version, you're curious to see what's around the corner because like the way how they built this cavern system, it makes it feel like the more you explore, the deeper and deeper the storytelling gets. I can't really
No,
I can't
yeah,
really
yeah.
put this into words, but yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? That the Disneyland version, the way how they built it kind of like stirs up your imagination comparative to the other versions. They don't have a lot of space to play with. There's not a whole lot to build off of.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
I think the longer you spend on these rides, the more you kind of zigzag through these different areas, the more you start to feel like you're really going somewhere. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's some Disney park rides that are just so brief, you don't feel like you're actually going into these worlds or places. You just
And there, well, like it doesn't matter. I'm gonna cut you off real quickly. It doesn't really matter how long the ride is. I mean, it is a factor. But what matters is how you theme it. If you don't theme it correctly, there are multiple rides Disney has made today which they are long, but they are themed absolutely. Well, me, I don't want to curse. Like absolutely terribly. That it doesn't feel like you're in the world. It just feels like I'm like you're waiting in line, or it's just a waste of time. Like Pirates of the Caribbean does it. They don't overdo it, but they definitely don't underdo it. It feels very natural the way how they themed it. So the more you explore, the deeper. Again, I don't want to repeat myself, but yeah. So there are rides that are long, but they aren't done that well to a point to where it doesn't like feel like you're exploring. It just kind of feels like you're wasting your time. Yeah, that's my point.
okay. Well, um yeah, I don't know. I think for me, in my opinion, is like the longer the ride, the more immersed I feel in it. I mean, granted, it has to be a good ride. Like it can't be like a terrible one. But I mean, I think one of the things I like about the Disneyland rides is that they're longer than most other Disney parks rides. I feel
Mm.
like I can spend more time in those worlds and really like appreciate the detail, as opposed to how fast the ones at like Walt Disney World went. They were over before they even began, is what it felt like. Um,
Yeah, that's very true. Like, in Haunted Mansion, the stretching room, because the reason why the stretching room, I'm pretty sure you know this, Alex, but the reason why the stretching room has those like long pauses in Disneyland is because they're waiting for the elevator to fully go down. It doesn't fully reach the bottom until literally like after the lights turn back up from the corpse falling from the ceiling. It takes a very long time for the elevator to go down. But compared to Disney World's version, they were able to cut off all that fat. So like their stretching room segment is like literally half the length of Disneyland's because of that. Because they were trying to speed through everything.
hmm.
Do you hear the music in the background? I just realized like some people in my house are listening to it really loudly.
I can hear it when you're talking.
Yeah, okay, that's whatever. It's fine.
Uh, okay, so I want to see what people have said in the chat. I have opened up so many of these windows. I have to close them all. Hold on. Surprised my computer hasn't crashed. All right. Let's see. Conrad says fireflies, crickets, frogs, Blue Bayou. So, yeah, that's a good point. The Blue Bayou at Disneyland is one of those really cool things. But there's a restaurant though at every Pirates of the Caribbean, right? There's one in.
No, that's not true. Disney World does not have a restaurant.
It doesn't.
It does not have a restaurant. It has a restaurant after the ride, but it doesn't have it inside the ride. They don't have a Blue Bayou.
But they don't have anything that looks out onto the ride.
Nope.
Oh, I must be thinking of the one in Paris.
Shanghai has it. It's a really crappy. Excuse me. It's a really bad one. But Shanghai has it. Disneyland Paris has it. I think it's something like Captain Jack Sparrow, whatever. Then Tokyo has it. Tokyo has a copy of our Blue Bayou. Yeah. So everyone besides Shanghai has it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I think Tokyo has it. I think they do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah.
I think they do.
Mm-hmm.
Reading through some comments. Morning Mug with Mickey asks me if I'm in my new apartment yet. No, I'm not. This is the last time you will see me in this apartment, actually. So next time yay! Next time I do a live stream, it'll be in the new apartment. So you'll see that and stuff. But so I'm gonna give my candidate for like worst Pirates of the Caribbean.
You're probably gonna say Disney World, right?
No.
Really? All right.
I would say Shanghai Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean.
See, you think too similar to me.
You would think so, but you'd be wrong.
Okay, we'll see.
I think Disney World's Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm sorry. I think Shanghai's Pirates of the Caribbean is the worst because there's not enough animatronics and everything is screens.
Oh, so, I completely disagree with that. But I agree that it's worse, but I disagree with that.
See, there you go. That's what I'm saying. You would think I think the same, but
would
I don't.
You
think
care
the
to
same.
go more into detail, or?
I mean, so I applaud them for creating an amazing animatronic like Davy Jones, but I think the Shanghai's attraction is just filled too much with screens, I think. I don't know. I like to see practical sets. I like to see like immersive, world building that isn't based off of a projector, and digital animation. I go to a theme park to be in these worlds and things like that. And I just don't feel the same when I'm going through like a ride through a movie, essentially. And I think another thing I don't like is the boats.
Great movie ride fans would be at your door right now trying to like crucify you.
I was on Great Movie Ride, and I'm sorry, folks. I didn't see anything great about Great Movie Ride. I just didn't.
They would crucify you. You're lucky you're not a Disney World.
I did not feel like I was on a Disney park ride. I felt like I was on a ride built by some studio theme park company that was trying to be Universal or MGM. Actually, that is a good point. That was
the idea, yeah.
I know that was the idea, but that's what I'm saying is that's what I don't like about it. It literally felt like if MGM had a theme park and that was their like main attraction, that's what it felt like. And I'm like, I don't go to Disney to feel like I'm at MGM. I go to Disney to be at Disney. So but yeah, back to Shanghai. Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean is just bloody awful, mate.
It is absolutely awful. Now I can tell you from personal experience. I've been on the ride 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 times, right? Mm-hmm. Because believe it or not, when I was there, like that ride had the shortest line. I think the longest line there was Tron. and that was like 20 minutes. But boy, that ride is bad. It is not mediocre. It is bad. The reason why Shanghai is bad is because, oh, I mean, okay, let's say in terms of two perspectives. In terms of a Pirates of the Caribbean perspective, it is a terrible ride. In terms of a regular attraction, I think it's okay, but it's very mediocre. So the reason why I say it's bad as a Pirates of the Caribbean ride is because Pirates of the Caribbean rides, they specialize in storytelling and immersivity. Two things Shanghai Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean does horribly. Like it's like the Imagineers didn't even care when they built this ride. So like basically, when you build a screen ride, I actually like screen rides. So I like because I think screens are the future of entertainment. As much as Alex would disagree with me, screens are the future of entertainment. And the reason why I say that is because Universal has built rides around the world that utilize screens, and they are some of the best rides I have ever seen. And it's because the way how they incorporate screens into the attractions is they blend them in. Like Disney's philosophy with screens is very stupid. They're like, oh, it's either we have screen or we no have screen, no in between. That's how they think. It's very stupid. What Universal does is they go, okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a practical set in front of the screen. Then behind that practical set, we'll have an animatronic. Then behind that animatronic, we'll have a screen. And then that's what they do with multiple rides. So they have multiple layering with screens and practical sets, and that builds an environment. And basically, you turn this 2D object into a 4D environment, into a 3D environment. It feels tangible. For Pirates of the Caribbean, it does it for Shanghai Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean. It has that problem I brought up earlier, that the fact that it's either screen on or screen off. There is no transition at all when it comes to going from practical set to screen or screen to practical set. And when there is one, it is done incredibly lazily. So when you go on the ride, there's one scene when you go into a sunken ship and you see this giant kraken fly over you, right? If you look at that screen long enough, you'll see the edge of the screen come up, and then the ship covers it up, and then the practical set ship covers up the rest of the screen. I feel like they didn't really polish this ride. It felt like to me that they rushed the ride out. But there's so many areas where you have screen resetting. The screen resets for the next ride vehicle. You can see. You have really bad transitions between practical sets and screens. You have shadows that are created from really poorly placed projectors. And it's just like you look at this ride, and it's just like it looks terrible. It looks horrific. Like on camera, it looks pretty good because you can correct a lot of the problems, and it's just when you use a wide angle lens, it really fixes a lot of things. But when you're there in person, it looks terrible. Like once you get over like the wowness, it's like, whoa, that's so cool. The ride is just bleh, bleh. In terms of a regular ride, well, I don't want to go too much over time. It's just okay. For Disney, it's not even their best screen ride. I think their best implementation of screens, as much as people would disagree with me, is the Navi River boat ride over in Animal Kingdom. That's their best implementation of screens, the best screen blending of screen technology they have. And even then, that's like a C tier ride in terms of Universal. Like it's just okay. But Shanghai, they do a very bad job at it, and it come all the time just pulls me out of the ride. I really don't like it. I can go more into detail, but we're going to be here for like an hour, so
Yeah.
I'll just cut it off there.
Well, I want to know what people in the comments think about screens in their rides. You know, do you guys like it? I mean, I don't mind seeing a few. You know, like I thought what they did with the revamp of Alice in Wonderland at Disneyland was really good. But I wouldn't want to be on a ride that was like 100% like screens and stuff like that. That's just not me, you know? Like I like to see practical sets. So I want to know from the people in the comments what they think is a good you know, for rides, if they like the screens or not.
Do they like screens? Do they like no screens? Do they like a blend between screens?
Yeah, I want to know. Yeah. Let's see.
I forgot. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland is a pretty good utilization of screen. I completely forgot about that. That's a pretty good one.
Keith McDowell says screens are a step down. Screens cheapen the experience. Thank you. I agree with
I
that.
don't agree with that. I don't agree with
I
that.
think screens cheapen the experience. I go there to see animatronics. I want to be wowed by their lifelike ability to move and stuff. Like the Navi shaman from Navi River Journey, and how cool she is. And it's like if you just replaced her with like someone in a screen behind like a bunch of bushes, it just doesn't, it's just not the same.
It depends how you utilize them. So screens should never, in my opinion, should never be the main focus.
Oops.
Very bad if they're the main focus. What screens are typically used for is they amplify the experience. The best way I can explain this is not a Disney park. Disney unfortunately does not know how to use screens, which really annoys me. But for at Universal parks, if you go on a ride like Secret Life of Pets, we talked about this before, Alex, for like an hour. What they do for Secret Life of Pets is they have these giant screens that project all these fireworks that are blowing up, right? Oh, like boom, 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 boom. It's not the main focus. It's just kind of the background. But then in front of that, to kind of give the screen like layers, they have a section that kind of pops out a little bit, and they're like boxes and stuff, and they have stuff launching out of the boxes, and they projection map stuff onto those boxes, so the screen kind of has depth now. In front of those boxes, then they have the animatronics, which are basically kind of like the main focus. Then those animatronics are in front of the screens, and in front of that animatronic, they have a layer of practical sets, which are exploding, have smoke and fire, not fire, smoke and sparks are flying out. And because of that, you have I spit there a lot, excuse me. They have like a 4-layer like experience. So the screen is like adding this environmental thing that practical sets can never ever accomplish. You can't have fireworks exploding indoors from practical sets. It'll kill everyone on board. You can't have that. So you use the screens to subsidize it. But again, the screen isn't replacing everything. It's an addition to an experience. That's what screens should be used for. And that's what it kind of did in Navi River Journey. It kind of did it. But with other attractions, like what Fernando said, like Ratatouille, I don't like Ratatouille. Ratatouille is a very bad implementation of screens. So I don't like it. But I like it when screens are used to amplify an experience. I think that's really good. You might disagree with me on that, but
No. I agree with that. If you're gonna use it to help a scene that is already basically a practical set, I don't mind. But I just don't want to be moved into a room with a screen that has very little practical sets in it and is heavily based on the screen, like that Spider-Man ride that Disney has. That Avengers Campus Spider-Man ride they have.
Yeah.
I understand that's supposed to be like a, it's like a video game that you ride. I understand that part, but that's one of the very reasons why I will never go on that ride. I don't have an interest in screens. So if Disney could continue on with the quality like they did with the Fantasyland dark rides that they've been revamping with some screen effects and things like that, then I don't mind it. But if they're going to keep going on with things like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, like, I don't think I can. I can forgive Mickey and Minnie's because it's an animation. So I can forgive it for that. But if they're going to do rides that are heavily screen heavy, like Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean, I think I would just lose my mind.
That's unfortunately the future, which is future for Disney. The funny thing is, Universal is like, I don't want to talk about Disney because Universal is not in the title of this video, but I think Universal is like really going that way of the really good screen, the practical set and screen blending. A lot of their effects and stuff now, newer rides at least, they combine a lot of stuff together, which is something Disney really struggles with, even with their like their quote unquote top tier rides like Rise of Resistance. They don't really do a good job. Like they do it's a decent job. Like if you turn off all your brain cells and you eject them out of your brain, yeah, it looks partially realistic, but once you start kind of like thinking, it doesn't look that realistic. I don't really care for it that much. But Universal, again, does a really great job. But this is not a Universal stream. This is not a Universal simping stream, so we'll keep the Disney.
I'm going to read off some comments here. So Haley says, I personally think the best implementation of screen rides are all Disneyland Fantasyland dark rides. I would have to agree. Cars and Coaster says the characters of the rides shouldn't be screens, should be more realistic. I agree with that too. Fernando Dale says, I don't like screen-based attractions. Ratatouille in Epcot is boring too. There's nothing Disney... Oh, Chris could go on and on.
I could go on and on about that.
About Ratatouille.
I could. I literally had a 3-hour call where after I went off of I came back from Paris, right? I went on Ratatouille over there. I came out from a 3-hour call with Alex and just ranted to him how terrible that ride was. I still like it, but it seemed like to me they got their not their B tier, not their B team, but like their literal Z team, like the team they literally picked off from middle school to build that ride. It's like so badly made. But yeah, it's it's a pretty bad ride. Not including the screens. It's just in general a bad ride.
Keith McDowell says, screens on a ride is equivalent to putting an actor in front of a green screen to act with a projected character. It lacks immediacy.
I think it means intimacy.
Right? Yeah, maybe it means intimacy.
Immediacy doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe I don't understand what immediacy means.
Let's see. Producer of What says Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is the best blend created so far. It's incredible.
I don't think so.
I
heavily disagree with that. There's no practical. There's barely any practical elements on Mickey and Minnie's. It's all screen based. I think it's a decent. It's one of Disney's best attempts at doing screens, but is it good? No. No. I've been on it a couple of times. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. I think because even with the sets that they do have on that ride, aren't they still being projected on?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, all of them.
That's
what
few
gives them...
that aren't. There's a very few. When you go into the first room, there's an animatronic in there. The projected faces, of course. Animatronic. They have the tornado. That's an animatronic. They have the animatronic Mickey and Minnie. But beyond that, and a few other animatronics, it's just everything is screen. 95% of the entire ride is screens. So it's not a blend. It's more like screens with animatronics in front of them. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
Cars and Coaster says the screens on Rise of the Resistance is a good example of a good ride for screens. It's not, the screens on Rise of Resistance I don't think are that bad.
They're not bad, but they're not great. Not groundbreaking.
Yeah. I personally don't need groundbreaking, but I think they did. I think in terms of the amount of screens and how they used them in Rise, I think that's good. I think that's a good little balance. My only gripe with Rise of the Resistance is that it's so empty. It's just a bunch of empty hallways and corridors, and
I can agree with that.
It's like the only thing to fill those hallways and corridors is the occasional like blast of something getting blown up, and it's
when you're in the ride, it never really for me, it never really feels like you're in a Star Destroyer until like either the very at the very end. That's when it feels like you're in a Star Destroyer. But the whole ride, it kind of feels like you're in a building. I don't ever get the feeling that I'm in like a giant, humongous, like world-ending Star Destroyer. It doesn't feel that way. I don't know, because like in a Star Destroyer, as you said before, there's usually a lot of people running around. There's a lot of light, there's a lot of energy, but you don't get that. It's just empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so now I'm gonna move on. It's my turn now. So I'm gonna say one of the next on the list of best Disney rides. Go ahead and turn this thing on. Is Kilimanjaro Safaris at Walt Disney World. So
do we have to do this one? Could we both agree on this one?
Do we have to do one that we always disagree on?
Oh, that's true. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, if it's best Disney rides, then doesn't it make sense
That
that
is that is true. That is true.
this isn't all about worst Disney rides, Chris?
I thought this was gaslighting the stream.
No, no. No, we're discussing best Disney rides and what makes them the best.
Yeah,
And
that's
on
true.
occasion, we're going to touch upon what the worst is, but we don't
Yeah,
want to make this all about the worst.
that's true. That's true.
Okay, so yeah, I would say Kilimanjaro Safaris is like one of the best Disney rides ever made, and I mean, obviously the reason is the animals, but I think more than just the animals is how immersive that ride is. I remember going on that for the first time in 2006 and just being blown away because I thought, oh, this is gonna be like the Jungle Cruise. I was expecting a small ride with like pockets of like animals behind fences. And that was not at all what I got. It was this huge like landscape, you know, where like the safari takes place on this massive, you know, like what do they call
Preserve.
it? Like a preserve. Yeah. Yeah, it's a massive preserve.
Preserve.
I said it. Thank you.
Not preserve. Not preserve. Reserve.
It is a nature preserve and nature reserve too.
Okay. Mr. Know-it-all.
I just split hairs in order to make sure I'm right. That's what I do. Yes, so this nature reserve is absolutely beautiful. And you really feel like you are like in another landscape, you know, when you're at the Animal Kingdom park, you know. And then of course there is like I love plants, not just animals but plants too. So what's really great about it too is that they've managed to bring a lot of like native species of plants and grow them on the attraction, so when you're passing by you can actually see them. Granted, they still use a lot of like non-native species in areas that they shouldn't, just because it helps to keep the area looking lush, but still, that's one of the things I love about Disney's Animal Kingdom and the Kilimanjaro Safaris is just this ability to get so close to the animals. What do you think, Chris? What do you like most about Kilimanjaro Safaris?
Everything you say, I can agree with. I was trying to think of other stuff I can. Like, okay, I agree with everything, but what I'll add to it is the fact that like on most Disney rides, on most rides actually, I have to kind of focus to keep myself immersed, because my mind automatically kind of like it kind of dashes off to like lights, speakers, things that kind of to take you out of the experience. That's what my mind does. So I have to focus on something to make me like stay in like the in the moment basically. And Kilimanjaro Safari is one of the few rides in the world. That's why I really like this ride. The experience is one of the few experiences in the world where like I actually have to, if I want to be unimmersed, I have to pay attention. I have to look for things to unimmerse me. And even then, sometimes I can't even do that because the way how they theme a lot of these places, you are so far away from some stuff, or they hide it so incredibly well to a point to where you can't tell between what's real and fake. I mean, there's a few things that you pass by like this the elephants, and you go like, oh yeah, you know, the elephants, they dug their tusks into this mud over here, and you look over and the mud is obviously cement. And it's just like, yes, the mud, yes, the cement mud.
The cement mud.
Yes,
the
so,
dried cement mud.
Yeah. So I'm like, yes, that's cement. Yeah, but other times, like, you know, like when you look at the lions, for example, on quote unquote Pride Rock, right? Like when you see them, you think that they're actually like these pride lions, and they're sitting there enjoying themselves. But in reality, they have these giant AC units underneath them, pulling them down, so they force them to sit there. But it's just if you didn't know that beforehand, you would think that that's a genuine experience. You would think that you turned the corner and it just happened to be sitting there. There's nothing else in that attraction that pulls you out of that. Besides the fact that you know you're in a theme park. But
Yeah,
when you're
nothing
on that ride,
contradicts it when you're on it.
mm,
Like there's
yeah.
some rides when you're on like when you're on what's that Pixar Pier one, the Incredicoaster.
Oh, I hate
Everything
Incredicoaster.
contradicts that ride when
It
you're on it
does.
because you can see
It
everything
does.
around you. But Kilimanjaro Safaris, nothing contradicts it. You're there and you're immersed in this world. But Conrad has a good question. He says, "Is Kilimanjaro a ride scripted and controlled or a tour? I'm not familiar with it."
All three. All three. It's all three.
All three.
All
So
four. All four. Sorry, all four. Four. The
4,
ride.
5.
Yeah.
All 6. So
Yeah.
yeah. So let me pull up a picture here. There we go. Wait, no. Just
As you're pulling it
slide
up,
this
I'll
over.
explain. So Kilimanjaro is a ride. It is scripted. The cast members are given a script, and it is controlled. The cast members do drive the vehicles, and it's controlled by computer. So the computers know what all the vehicles are at all times. And it is a tour, yes, but at the same time, it's a tour of the reserve. At the same time, there are unscripted moments. When I was on there with my friend, right, we were on there and we actually got stopped. We had to sit there for about 20 minutes because a giraffe walked in front of the car and it sat in front of the truck. We had to wait for it to move. So the whole ride just jammed for about 15 to 20 minutes. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's really cool because they blend the best of their Disney ride experience with something that is real. So, you know, essentially the whole area, the entire attraction is designed to look like a natural landscape, both, you know, of Asian jungles, uh, savannas, I almost said safaris, but savannas,
Yeah.
you know, things like that. So it's you're going to all these exotic landscapes of the world to see these various animals that live in these landscapes, and your safari truck takes you through there. The truck is not necessarily on a track per se. It's on a roadway that they follow, and the roadways actually can change by the day. They have several roadways that run through the entire attraction, and if one is blocked for any reason, they can actually shift over to another one that takes them around that. And so that's what makes it so cool, is that you never have the same experience twice on this ride. And then, of course, like Chris said, it's scripted, but sometimes it goes off script. And even I was stopped by the giraffes when I was on there as well. Yeah, the giraffes just walk across and all nonchalantly. What's really cool too is like certain animals, like certain like dangerous animals like elephants, you know, you feel like they could just walk up to the truck, but there are hidden barriers. And that's what's really cool, is like you don't usually see fences on this ride. There are like 1 or 2 places where there's fences, but but you don't usually see fences on this ride because they hide the barriers so well that you can't actually tell like the reason why the animals can't come up to the like the hippo pool. That one's really cool because you're right there on the edge of the hippo pool. In fact, I think at one point you drive through the water of it, but there's an underwater like steep concrete slope that the hippos can't climb up to, so they can't actually get up to the ride vehicle. So that's one of the really cool things I love about Kilimanjaro Safaris, is how they're able to really just like hide how they do things. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, this is a good picture. So you can kind of see, there we are. Kind of see the roadway. Let's see. Hector says the downside for me is that every time I go, the animals are asleep.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem with Kilimanjaro Safari.
Yeah.
Because I went recently after it rained, and there were literally no animals. All the animals were gone.
That's
I think
true.
we saw a few flamingos, but besides that, like everything was gone.
Yeah. You know what I wanted to do though? So back when I visited, they never used to. The park would close like right as the sun went down every day. That's how it was back then. Now today they keep the park open longer, and you can actually take like an evening ride on the Kilimanjaro Safaris and see some of the animals in the evening, which is really cool. Like I wish I could have seen that. Like, but we're gonna move on. So it is your turn, Chris, to say what you think is one of the best rides, best Disney rides.
Best Disney rides. right, help me with this. Should I go national or international?
I mean, it's your choice. You can.
I'm asking you, so I'm juggling the two in my head.
Let's say international, because I'm sure people want to see something international.
Okay, we'll go international. So international,
I
if you
bet.
can pull
I
up a
bet.
picture.
I bet I can
Okay,
guess what it is.
you know I talk about this so much. We
Yeah.
we talk a lot in privately, and I always talk about this. My favorite ride internationally is a ride in Tokyo Disney Sea that's called Journey to the Center of the Earth. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically it's basically this ride that's embedded into this massive volcano that Disney Imagineering built out of real rock. And basically, to even get there, you have to walk through the volcano through these beautiful magma tubes that are humongous, they're all colorful, and then you just make a little left into his little hole against in the wall. You walk in there and you enter into a magma chamber. It's completely dried up. Hopefully, right? Hopefully, completely dried up. You walk into. Are you pulling a picture right now? My stream is like 30 seconds behind.
I'm looking for good pictures. It's hard to
Yeah,
find good pictures of this ride.
it is.
A lot
It
of people
is.
took terrible pictures.
It's very bad picture. So you walk in there, and the way how I know it's active is because when you walk in there, oops, that's not me. And when you walk in there, there's actually this water fountain. So typically in Disney water fountains, they have two. They have one that goes right, one that goes left. But you go in this ride, what happened was the lava came down and it consumed half of like this water fountain, and now it's dried up. Now it's like hardened rock, and only half the water fountain you can drink out of. The other half is just buried underneath this rock. You can tell this is an active area, active volcano. So that's a great way of doing storytelling, passive storytelling, something that Disney today doesn't do that well anymore, unfortunately. Passive storytelling is something that's very hard to get across, but it's something they do really freaking well. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then the ride. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I don't want to go into the ride because I can talk like for an hour on the ride. But yeah, that's just the key. That's just a little bit of the queue and a little bit of the entrance walking in.
Tell people about what happens at the top of the ride every few minutes.
Oh, so basically, at the bottom, at the base of the ride, right before, at the finale, you see this massive, like caterpillar, not caterpillar, this giant monster thing scream at you, and then you launch from 0 to 50 miles an hour. I don't know how fast the acceleration is, but you launch and you basically go at a very steep angle going up and right, and then you come out, and then straight up fly out of the mountain, out of the volcano, and you go down a 90 degree fall. And then I think it's a 50 foot, no, yeah, about a 75 foot drop. You go straight down and you even out, and that's your experience. It's kind of like a combination between test track and Tower of Terror. I like to call it. It's pretty fun.
Um,
So
y- yes, that is.
there's
That's
that monster I was talking about.
yeah. Um, I was also trying to have him tell you about the fire that comes out
Oh,
the
the
top of
fire.
the top of the mountain.
Oh, the fire. Yes, that's right. So the way how they do that, they have, if I remember correctly, they have eight like jet engines up there. The ones you typically see, or is it rocket engine? I don't remember. But or flamethrowers. They have something up there, and every half an hour to 2 hours, it really depends on the volcano, honestly. It will explode, and these giant flames just fly out of the volcano, and it's loud. You hear the explosion, like it's the explosion from the rockets or jet engines or whatever. But you see the fire, and 2 seconds later, you hear the explosion. I was actually in a restaurant in the New York Harbor area, and I was eating sushi. They had sushi there, oddly enough. And I was eating sushi, and all of a sudden, like, I heard boom, and then the window started shaking, and then the table started shaking. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And then, like, we're looking around, and the cast member went, ha ha ha, oh, it's just volcano. I was just like, oh.
You're
And
like, oh
because they're
no,
used
Mount
to,
Fuji went off.
yeah, right there. There's a picture right there of the volcano. Oh wait, you're 30 seconds. You already pulled it up. I was
Yeah.
looking at your live stream. I forgot. Yeah, it's. Is this what Tokyo Disney Sea would have been? Most likely, because they also had a volcano in Long Beach as well. I'm 90%. No, yeah, most of Tokyo Disney Sea was supposed to be in Long Beach. So that ship you see in Tokyo Disney Sea, SS Columbia,
Oh
was
yeah.
supposed to be the Queen Mary. Yep.
Yeah, I'll look for that right now.
SS Columbia is like a really derpy looking Queen Mary. It does not look right at all.
Yeah, it looks really weird.
It looks really stupid.
That's a tiny picture. Let me try this one. This one's a little bit
I,
better.
I don't really blame them though, because they basically try to build something. The ship is like 200 feet long. It's like tiny, but then they try to make it like look large at the same time. So it doesn't look right. But honestly, without like compacting down like the walkways to like 2 feet tall, there's really no way for them to do it. So I understand, but it doesn't look right.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like, you know, Chris was saying, like, this Disney Sea was originally an idea that was supposed to be near the Queen Mary. So the fact that they actually like built something that looks like the Queen Mary in their Tokyo Disney Sea Park, I thought that was pretty interesting. And you said it's a restaurant, right?
It's a restaurant. It's a walk-through area. I actually have a picture. My background is actually taken from the bow of the ship, facing the Tower of Terror and the funnels. That's my background. Yeah, on the bow, not from here. So yeah, that's
What?
what?
What do you mean your background?
On my phone.
Oh, your phone. Okay, you
My
didn't say
phone.
that. I was like,
Oh,
what?
my phone. Sorry, my phone. Yeah, it's on my phone. That's my background. Yeah, so you can walk anywhere on the ship, but obviously you can't walk in there when they're performing shows because they come down from that ramp. You see there, that ramp, the zigzag ramp coming down on the ship. Yeah, that area right there. That's the area where the characters come through. That's when you can't walk. But everywhere else on the ship, they have like a restaurant, they have a store, and they have a grand staircase as well. It looks like a fancy version of Queen Mary's. It's like all wooden. It's all like really beautiful wood and stuff.
I want to see the interior. Let me look up a picture of the interiors.
Mm-hmm.
I never.
It's very small. I'm letting you know, it's very small. It's like the only interior you get is the. Well, actually, I've never been inside the Talking with Crush thing because they have that as well. But I've never been in there because I just never have time.
That's inside there.
Yep, it's inside there.
So, I suppose this picture here is. It doesn't look too Art Deco-y actually on the inside.
It's not. It's not. It's a lot of wood though.
Yeah, that's for true.
Mm-hmm. It's more like it's like more closer to like Titanic's. Not Titanic. No, it's like a. I don't know what kind of design is it. It's like
Kind of like
Carthay
a-
Circle. Carthay Circle kind of design.
Oh, Carthay Circle is
Art Deco.
Art Deco.
Okay, whatever.
I would say this is more like Grand Floridian almost.
Grand Fleur. Yeah, some parts of the ship look kind of Art Deco though. The staircase,
There-
if
the
you can
s-
find it.
The staircase to me looks Edwardian.
Edwardian. Okay, okay. Edwardian. Titanic. Yes.
Yeah, you're wrong at every turn.
Oh,
Just
I think you're just jealous.
jealous. Why? Because you went to some cruddy restaurant in some cruddy theme park
Cruddy restaurant.
built by
Excuse
some
me.
cruddy company. Oh, this is a cool picture of the staircase.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the tiniest picture ever, but yeah, so journey to the center of the earth. That's the one we're talking about. Let me find that on Google Maps so we can show you guys. Let me see. Tokyo Disney Sea. It's probably not rendered in 3D because they just don't like to do that for some reason in some countries.
No, I don't.
All right, so let's see here. If I remember correctly, this should be it here. Oh, it is in 3D. Okay, so let me rotate this around so you guys can see it from the direction it was intended. That's a pretty big mountain. How big would you say that mountain is? Like, how tall? Like,
I can't say. I really don't know. I'd say maybe like 60 to 70% the height of Tower of Terror.
okay.
And their Tower of Terror is the same height as our Guardians. So that's what I mean. It's about the same.
Okay.
It looks massive from when you're standing down below. They use a lot of first perspective, obviously. You walk, but when you walk in that little area where the where is it? There's an area where the Aquatopia is on the other side of the mountain. You can walk in the back of the mountain and it looks tiny. It looks very small. When you're walking in the crater area, it looks like it's massive. I have a picture.
Oh, because you're like up in like literally.
You're
Like,
down. You're down below. They actually dig down. You actually go down further. You're very deep down below, and you look up, and it's just like this massive volcano that's just towering over you. And then the great thing about that is things that are right above you. They're basically, I'd say, they're full size, right? They have this giant drilling machine that's full size against the volcano, and it gets smaller and smaller as it goes up. And I think this is one of the few places where I think it's very hard to tell that they're using force perspective. So
nice.
it's just like it looks like humongous.
Does the ride vehicles itself, do they go around the entire circle of the mountain
Yes.
range? Okay,
Yes.
because I was like, geez, I don't see a show building. So
Nope,
it
the show
must
building
be-
is the volcano is a show building. Yep,
awesome. That's pretty cool.
it's pretty massive.
Okay, so shall we choose one more to finish off this?
Sure.
Geez, what would be another best Disney ride? I gotta think.
Would you have to say Thunder Mountain?
No, I mean it's good,
No.
but I wouldn't call it best.
Okay, well I don't know then.
I'm trying to think.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Maybe people in the comments can help. What would you guys say would be like among the best Disney rides? We've already covered Haunted Mansion rides. We've already covered Pirates of the Caribbean rides. We've covered Kilimanjaro Safaris. The Journey to the Center of the Earth.
I can throw in one more. I have one more. I think is one of the best Disney rides, but it's your turn. So.
You can go because I don't think I'll be able to think of one.
Sure. I think Flight of Passage is like the. I think this will piss off a lot of people, some people, but I think Flight of Passage is the best. Is one of the best Disney rides, and it's the best Disney ride best ride Disney has built within the last 10 years. 100%.
You would say that much,
Yes.
like, really?
Yes. What ride has Disney built in the last 10 years? That is good.
Well, I mean, that's a good point.
Really. Ask yourself that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Disney's built any good
Like
rides.
most people are gonna say Rise, but Rise is just it's okay. It's good, but I wouldn't say it's like amazing. It's nowhere close to amazing. It's not. It's I wouldn't even say it's like it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's like two steps below down like perfection. It's like it's good. But Fly of Passage is the closest I think you can get to like a perfect ride. It's closest. I think the weakest part of the entire experience is like the ride. It's like the ride itself. It's like the ride experience. That's the weakest part, and the ride experience is really good. That's the weakest part of the entire experience.
Now, this makes me say, okay, so I have seen your videos on LMG Vids channel. Link is in the description below, by the way.
I have also seen your videos on the Alex the Historian channel.
Yes. So I've seen your videos of Flight of Passage, and it's really good. No argument there. But why does this screen-based ride earn the title of one of the best Disney rides?
Well, as I told you, it's not. I think the ride is one of the weakest parts of the entire experience.
It's
Even
the
though it is,
queue.
It's the queue. Exactly. I think no, it's not exactly the queue. So these types of new rides Disney and Universal have been building are what I call like hyper immersive rides, right? So rides like Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, and even Indiana Jones, right? They're just immersive. They're super immersive. Once you step into the area of the ride, you're immediately put into the story. That's what the problem starts. The area of the ride. Like it so like when you're walking through the land, you're not really in the story. You're not really in the moment. You're not really in the ride. You have to kind of walk a little deeper to start to kind of feel immersed. With Fly of Passage, it has this great um advantage of being built into a land. So basically, what happens is there's a story that's in the land, and that gets built into the queue, and then that builds into the ride, and it elevates the ride to like a whole new level that no other ride, oh, almost no other ride can achieve, basically, right?
I suppose so.
Yeah. So for example, in the I'm trying to think here. In the land, right? What the main idea they're trying to give off to you is the fact that there used to be human activity there. A long time ago, humans invaded the place and they completely destroyed the area. You can see pathways carved out. You can see like machinery, rotten machinery everywhere. You can see like scratch marks on like giant pieces of trees. You see areas that have been destroyed, and over the years, like you can see that nature has slowly retaken over its course. There are things where nature slowly started to come back and just enveloped all this human stuff. And now people obviously are coming back. And you go into the queue and you see that even further. You go into the caves, and the caves look beautiful and wonderful. But you walk in the next section, you see all this machinery, and the machinery has just been like destroying all this plant life. But luckily for us, the plant life now is growing back, and you can see all like the in one section, for example, they have this little base area, and it's all this concrete. The concrete is breaking away, and the plants are breaking through all the cracks, and they're just like, and it's just like they turned this concrete looking area into like this lush area. I can't explain it really,
I'm
but
showing pictures of it at the moment.
yeah. But do you know what room I'm talking about? It's that room where like it's that zigzag path going up into the science room.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm showing pictures of it.
Yeah. So basically, that room was destroyed because of like old age, and then over the years, it was taken back by the plant life. And you can see that the idea of the Pandora is about nature. It's about like almost kind of being one with the land, right? That's the idea of Pandora, and all of that gets built. And I mean, as you go into the whole thing, you get the idea that nature is just beautiful, right? Nature is wonderful, nature is beautiful. And you go into the human area, you can see the humans, the science area, they're experimenting on the Navi. You get an understanding of what you're gonna ride, what you're gonna be. You get an understanding of like the hyper super advanced technology they're using. They have all this stuff that's vibrating. I mean, I understand how it works, but then to an untrained person, it looks like really, oh my god, they have all this cool looking stuff. And and I think every room in this attraction builds into the ride. Every single room does something, or every single inch of this land does something to build into the ride. So I really do think like because of that, because every single inch is utilized to build into the ride, to build into the experience, to build into the story, it makes it so much stronger. So even though you have kind of like a pretty good ride, it gets elevated through the roof because you have this queue and the land and the storytelling and the immersion that's able to boost it through the roof, which is one of the problems I have with Rise. Rise is you have a really great, a really amazing ride experience, but it's dragged down by its very bland and basically non-apparent, non-existent queue. It's just a bunch of tunnels. I don't really add to anything. There is storytelling there, but it's not a whole lot that builds into the ride, comparative at least to Pandora. Pandora, they so much of the land. I mean, the land, positive or negatively, is used as a facade, as a foundation for the ride, and it builds into it. So because of that, I do think that Flight of Passage is one of the best Disney rides ever built. It's not because the ride is great. It's because of the artistry. It's because of how they utilize every single inch of this area to build into this experience, to make it the best it can possibly be. Without this queue, without the land, I think Pandora would be a pretty like I could probably just never go on the ride ever again and be okay. But it's because of the queue, because of the land, because of the way how the Imagineers were able to utilize everything, every inch of this area to build into the environment and the story and just the feeling of being in Pandora is the reason why I believe that this ride is the best. That was a long rant.
That was absolutely wonderful. I think that,
Was it?
yeah, I think you really have. I mean, you've convinced me. I mean, at first I was kind of like, it's a great ride, but I mean, come on. But you actually have convinced me that it is definitely worthy of being on the list
Mm.
of best Disney rides.
Yeah. So I don't think. I mean, screen ride. I mean, I'll just say this: 'cause I know people don't like screen rides. I think screen rides they're okay as long as they have a proper foundation to be built on. Screen because you have to kind of like convince people that screens are like are is real. Because if you're just gonna throw a screen in front of somebody, it's not gonna feel realistic. It's just a screen. So you have to build the emotion, build the environment, build that setting. And once that setting is built, then like the screen just takes that imagination and runs with it, which is a problem with some rides, which they don't do that. So it just kind of falls flat.
Yeah, I would
Mm.
have to agree with that.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm just gonna quickly mention my next last uh, candidate for best Disney ride, and that would be the Disneyland Railroad at Disneyland, California. Um, I think everybody knows why I would choose that one because I think of all the Disney railroads. I think the Disneyland Railroad is the best. It has the best scenery. You go through um, the best views of the park. Not just like outdoors, but indoors too. I mean, you see like parts of Splash Mountain. You see the Grand Canyon and Primeval World. I don't know why other pictures of other Disney parks are coming up, um, but yeah, and then there's the fact that there's like such a variety of of engines. Some of them, like one of them dating back to 1894. It's just really cool. And then of course when it comes to the outdoor scenery, you have all these beautiful landscapes that it crosses through, even today. So yeah, I think Disneyland Railroad is the best railroad at any Disney park. And that is my little rant about.
That was a tiny rant.
It was very tiny. Well, because what else can I say? Like
There's not much you can say.
the
That's true.
pictures. The pictures speak 1,000 words.
It's very true.
It's like you look at Walt Disney World Railroad, and it's like nothing but lawns and swamp trees, and it's like nothing else. There's nothing to see at all.
Yeah, I do think there are other railroads that do certain elements. Oh, I just cracked my foot. That do elements that when you look at them specifically, they look better than Disneyland. Like for example, I think Disneyland Paris is around the river. I do think it looks better. And in Tokyo, in the adventure, because basically it only goes around Adventureland. It looks so much better than Disneyland's Adventureland, right? Disneyland Adventureland is just trees, right? But as a total experience, I have to agree with you. Like if you want to focus on specifics, I do think Disneyland, like specifically Adventureland, specifically Rivers of America, yeah, Disneyland does lose out. But when it comes to the whole experience, the Grand Canyon plus the Primeval World, the Rivers of America, the tomorrow, from the going through Fantasyland, going behind, it's a small world, something that's really cool. It's just there's nothing that can really encapsulate that comparative to other parks.
That is true. You do see a lot on the Disneyland Railroad in Paris. There is a lot uh, along the side of the tracks that you get to see in most Disney parks.
Well,
Why?
Alex, I think this has been good. I mean, you can continue on, but I actually have to go right now.
Yes, I have to go too. I think we've already killed this cat. So,
We have.
um, all right, folks, I am gonna call it here. I want to thank Chris for joining me today, and thank you all. Uh, Sorry, I didn't even get a chance to say, Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. You're welcome,
No
Alex.
problem.
No
Yeah,
problem.
you're welcome, Alex. Thank you for having me on.
All right, folks. And I guess I will see you all next time. Next time I do a live stream, it'll be at the new apartment. So, yay for me. So, anyway, thank you all, and I will see you all next time.